everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap The Shy Season 1, Episode 2, which was titled Alee. And you guys know that The Shy is the new show by Lena Waite that comes on Showtime. The new episodes air on Sunday nights at 10 p.m., which I wish they would change, but you also can watch it earlier on the app. And then I guess you can get it on demand and then it re airs throughout the week on Showtime if you have Showtime. But I highly, highly recommend this show. So this episode was really good, just like the season premiere or the series premiere of the show, and it basically shows the struggles. Like this episode really focused on just the emotional aspect of black men and black teens, and how we tell kids, tell men be strong and don't cry and don't be fearful, but then they kind of like explore that notion throughout this episode, and just how hard it is living in like a cruel world, and especially a place like Chicago where we know people are getting shot every day. And I think I read an article that said that there had been it was either no shootings or no one had been killed in Chicago like the first 10 days or something like that. I can't remember the exact number of days, but we're only we haven't even reached the 3 week mark. So it had to have been like in the first week or the first 2 weeks or something like that. So kudos for Chicago. And it also could be because it's probably really cold and snowing and everybody's in the house, but we'll see. So the show also, I thought, really and I guess it's a true depiction, but I was just really surprised at how overly sexualized kids are portrayed in this show. And I was just like, oh my goodness. But then again, I am the author of the book called The Red Bear Society, which deals with high school kids, promiscuity, and the ramifications of being overly sexualized. And you guys can check that book out on Amazon. So let's go ahead and get into the recap. So, what's the boy Emmett? Emmett is having a party, and I was really shocked to find out that the party was at Emmett's mama's house because I don't think Jada plays that. But him and Keisha, remember Keisha was the girl underneath the bed. So him and Keisha are dancing, and there's another girl, and she's dancing by herself, and she's, grooving and everything around, and Emmett can't keep his eyes off the girl. So Keisha gets upset, but instead of confronting Emmett for disrespecting her, she goes over and confronts the girl, which I thought was so stupid. And so, she's checking the girl, cussing the girl out, calling all kind of bees and hoes. And I'm like, come on, little girls, now we can't be acting like this. So then Emmett pulls her away from the girl and pulls her into a bedroom. And so he's kissing all on her and everything, trying to pull her pants down and telling her, he didn't want that girl. He wants her. And so Keisha was like, but you didn't apologize. And so then he was like, well, I'm going to show you my apology. And then he pulling her pants down, about to go down. And I'm just like, these little kids are just out of control. But honey, let me tell you something, that little baby started crying. Because remember, Emmett is the one where the girl that dumped the baby off on him and then hightailed and don't nobody know where she at. That baby started crying. Keisha was like, wait, you got the baby in here? So he was like, well, we can go into another room. But Keisha done had enough, and she done decided she don't want to be the next baby mama. So she runs out and leaves Emmett. Emmett gets the baby, and he's like running through the house, and everybody's still partying, looking at him, not paying him or the baby any attention. I'm just like, this is so sad. So later on, when Jada gets home, she's playing, Emmett comes in, and she's playing with the little grandbaby. Now that little baby probably about 9 months old. And so Emmett walks in and the two of them get to talking, having just small talk. And so Jada, he said something about he was a good kid, and Jada said, well, the jury is still out on that, Emmett. And so he was like, and it kind of reminded me of a friend of ours named Susie, who said that she told her son, one of her sons, baby mamas, because I think the son got children from different women, and she was like, basically, stop wasting your time, because he's a moth that's never going to be a butterfly. And that's kind of like what Jada was saying to Emmett, like, you ain't all that in a bag of chips. So Emmett tells her, well, I got to go to work, I'm glad you're home, and now you can watch the baby. And Jada was like, oh, hell to the no, 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 I'm not watching no baby, this is your responsibility. And so he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And Jada said, pull out the next time. Jada is my kind of mama, because that's how I be coming at my kids, or used to come at my kids when they were growing up and trying to be crazy. And I'm kind of happy to say that even though I was a single mom, my kids have not become parents. So I'm kind of like happy with that, because I want them to enjoy their lives, do all the things that they want to do, and not have anything holding them back. So Jada, refuses to watch the baby, so Emmett takes him to work with him, and when he gets to work, his boss is like, oh, where you going with that baby? He said, well, I ain't have nobody to watch him. My mom wouldn't watch him. I don't know where his mama at, so can I just put him in the office? And the guy was like, no, you can't. You can get him, and I'll give you the rest of the day off, and you go find somebody to watch your baby so you can get yourself together before you lose your job. And Emmett was like, oh my God, give me a chance. And he's like, no, you got to handle your business, handle your responsibility. You're a dad now. So there was a guy sitting in the restaurant who we later find out his name is Quentin, and he's the brother of the owner of the little diner where Emmett works at. So he sees the exchange between Emmett and his brother, and then he calls Emmett over and basically gives him $100 and tell him to go find somebody to watch the baby so he can come on back to work. And so the brother was like, don't take that money. Don't you take that money. But Emmett, he's standing there like, I got to make money to be able to take care of the baby, and I don't want to lose my job. And the brother like, don't take that money. And then Quentin was like, take the money. Go on, young blood. Handle your responsibility. So Emmett took the money. So him and the owner were walking out together, and the owner was telling him like, man, the worst thing you could have did was took that money. He said, but you done took it, so now you got to deal with the consequences. He said, but there's a lady 2 blocks over who watches kids. Go over there, tell her I sent you over there, and then get on back over here. So I'm like, Lord have mercy. So Emmett, he goes to the lady, but the lady says she got too many kids already. She can't take on another one, but she'll put them on the waiting list and come back in 2 months. And Emmett like, well, what am I supposed to do? For the next 2 months, I'm gonna lost my job by then. And they say, I'm sorry, but y'all didn't get me shut down, because I know here. I don't know about where y'all live at, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. Coordinated child care in St. Petersburg, they be running people babysitting services like people running daycare centers. Like they come in, they tell you how your house got to be set up. You can't have TVs on, how many hours a day the kids can watch TV. They got to make sure you got cribs for each child, and you can only have so many kids based on the number of rooms you have. It's just like, okay, you got to have a schedule, like when you read to the kids, when you're taking the kids out to play, what time the kids have nap. And this is people watching kids in the privacy of their homes that they this strict. So I understood the lady when she said, we ain't bringing no more babies up in here, call me back. So Emmett goes and he ends up at the park with the baby. So it's like all these people at the park with these little kids. I'm like, they didn't do anybody have a job, because it was old men, young men, it was women, it was just a whole bunch of kids at the park. So he's sitting there trying to figure out what he gonna do, and I think the realization of fatherhood had finally hit him. And he's trying to figure out, then the baby start crying, and then a car comes down the street, one of them old convertible Impalas, I think it was. And so it was 2 guys, and two guys in the front and 2 girls in the back. So I don't know if he was envious of the fact that they were able to just be out free enjoying the day, or if it was Keisha in the back of the car. I couldn't really get a good look at the 2 girls. So, but whatever was going on with the car, it really upset him. And Emmett said, forget this. And then fool jumped over the fence and started to run away and leave the poor little baby on the swing set to the park. I was like, boy, you lost your doggone mind. So the baby starts crying louder, and then he stopped and was like, man, what is you doing? So he goes back over and gets the baby, and then he like holds the baby real tight and tells the baby, I'm never gonna leave you again. You know, we in this together. And I was like, thank God for small favors, because boy, them folks would have found you and put you under the jail for leaving that baby out there. So when Emmett gets back home, Jada's at the house and she's sitting on the sofa and she's looking at him like, well, what's wrong? And Emmett just realized that fatherhood is a serious situation. And so he goes over and he sits on the sofa and he lays his head in Jada's lap. And it was just such a tender moment. And I'm just like, oh my God, like so many boys would just love to have that moment with their mothers where their mothers are sitting there, and even though she's a strong mother trying to force him to do the right thing and make the right decisions, she still understands his pain. So that was just, oh, that was such a beautiful moment. It was so beautiful that that's the image that I used for this video. Oh, and then there was another scene later on in the show with the Quentin guy where he goes to this office, and it was like these Cuban or Hispanic people in this office. And I mean, like when he walked in, the guy who was running the office, he was terrified. So they go into this bank office, and then Quentin tells him, the guy was like really nervous, and he's like, well, what can I do for you? And, you know, Quentin, I don't know, he's just an intimidating figure. But he basically told the guy that he wanted some information. And I couldn't remember if he said it was on Jason's killing or if it was on Coogie's killing. But he wanted the guy to find out whatever he could find out as far as who killed the guys. So I don't know. Quentin don't look like somebody you want to mess with. So then we move over to Brandon. So Louise comes out. Brandon was like in that little back alleyway where they sit at when they're on their breaks behind the restaurant. And so Louise comes out and asks him, you know, if he wants to hang out. But Brandon says that he has to go home and get Jerica, and then they were going to go to his mom's house so they can pack up all of Coogie's things. And remember, Coogie is his half brother, and Coogie was killed in the premiere episode. And so he says that his mom is still blaming him for Coogie's death. And so Louise presses Brandon to see if he, you know, is there more to the story? Did you find out who killed Coogie? You know, what are we going to do? We're going to take care of the situation. And Brandon finally admits that he does know who killed Coogie. And Louise tells him that, you know, well, we need to handle the situation. I'm like, no, y'all don't need to handle the situation. Go to the police, tell the police who killed Coogie so they can do their job. You know, so he asks Brandon if he has a gun. And Brandon says that he doesn't want to kill anybody. He just got to, you know, get the stuff straight in his head and figure out what to do. And so Louise reminds him that, you know, whether he wants to kill the person or not, that he has his back, and whatever he decides, he's down for the cause. I don't want no friends that if I tell them I'm getting ready to go kill somebody, that they're going to go with me and supply the gun. I'm not the kind of friends I want. I want a friend that say, girl, you're going to sit your behind down somewhere and have a glass of wine. So, and that's part of the problem, I guess, with Chicago, that we ain't got nobody being level-headed. Everybody, like, out for revenge and, you know, pumping their chest and trying to get some street credibility. So on his way home, Brandon passes by the memorial of Coogie, because remember, he got killed behind, like, the lot behind that store. And so, you know, he becomes really upset. And then I'm thinking, okay, now he's going to go kill Ronnie, because we know Ronnie is the one that killed Coogie. So he arrives home hours later, and him and Jerica get to bickering because I guess she wanted to have a Netflix and chill night. But she doesn't watch the shows by herself, and then she gets into bed. So she pulls back the covers and showing that she had on like the sexy red negligee or panty and bra set. But he ain't paying her no attention. So, of course, that upsets her that he's not paying any attention. So then Brandon lies and says that he was with Louise, but then admits later on that he went to the store where Coogie was killed. And, you know, he's just really having a hard time dealing with it. So the following day, Brandon goes by his mom's house, but she isn't there. And then this guy named Delray comes up from the basement. Well, I don't know if it was a basement or... because it seemed like when they showed that scene, it looked like the front of a house. And then the guy came up from a basement. But then it seemed like when a later episode, maybe they were at the back of the house. Because in that episode, Brandon actually went up a flight of stairs to get to the mom's house. So I'm not sure what the housing situation is with Laverne. That's the mom's name. So the guy tells Brandon that the mom isn't there, that she went to some place called the Royals, and then he starts talking about the fact that his apartment is leaking and that the mom promised to fix it, but she hasn't fixed it. And so Brandon was like, okay, man, I'll talk to her and I won't tell her, you told me. So then as he was walking down the street, the Delray guy comes out of the gate onto the sidewalk. So I'm thinking he going to turn out to be the obligatory gay person that we have to have in every show now. And because he had on this pink leopard print robe. I was like, brother, did you mean to come out the house with that pink robe on? Or is the neighborhood used to seeing you dressed like that? So Laverne is at the bar with the guy and tells Brandon that she changed her mind and that she isn't ready to go back to the house. So I guess she's been staying somewhere else because it's too painful to be there without Coogie. So Brandon and the guy that she's with, they get into it. And so, he's like the typical freeloading boyfriend. But the scene was so funny, but then I finally figured it out what was going on in the scene. But they have like a back and forth, and the guy get up and he all in Brandon's face. Brandon ain't showing him no respect. And the guy was like, all I need to know, he was doing a crossword puzzle. He said, all I need to know is what is a 4-letter word for away from the wind. Like, can anybody tell me? Nobody in the bar knew what the 4-letter word was. Well, the 4-letter word was Alee, and Alee is the title of this episode. Then we have a scene with Brandon where he's at work and he's talking to Sarah. Remember, Sarah is the chick with the dark hair. And I'm just really convinced that Sarah wants her some Brandon. So I'm going to need Jerica to start paying some visits up there at that restaurant. Just show up unannounced and let this chick know that Brandon has a woman and that woman will kick her behind. So Sarah's trying to, give him some opportunities to help, make some extra money doing like catering jobs for, the rich and the famous. And then she tried to impress Brandon by slipping in that they had catered a job for a guy that plays for the Chicago Bulls. But then Brandon said, oh my God, you did? Who was he? And then she was sitting there like, well, dang, I wouldn't expect him to ask who it was. And then she's like, well, I don't know his name, but he was a tall guy. And I'm like, hey, girl, if you'll go somewhere and sit down, Brandon don't get caught up with that girl. Brandon is just really, really torn, about Coogie and just trying to move on and not wanting to be a burden to anybody, but I guess like men just suppressing what they're feeling until they're alone. And so he went to see his mom again, and this time she was in the bed and passed out, but she had been looking at some pictures of Coogie, and then she also had a sketchbook, where he was an artist and everything. And after leaving her, Brandon found Kevin. Now remember, Kevin is the little boy that witnessed the shooting. So Kevin had a hard day on the Shy because first Ronnie, there was a scene where Ronnie caught up with him and wanted to talk to him, and then he took off running and Ronnie chased after him. And then when he got away from Ronnie, the little girl he liked, Andrea, her cousin Maisha, who's a big bully, Maisha chased him down in the park and knocked him over and then sexually assaulted him in the park. I mean, she had a big butt on that little boy, and then she licked him on the face, and I was just like, how gross, how really, really, really gross. And after he was molested in the park, he runs into Brandon, and so, he's asking Brandon, what are you going to do? Like, that man trying to kill me, he was chasing me earlier today. I need you to take care of that situation. That was the point of me telling you. So my heart really aches for Brandon because, he got to make up his mind what he's going to do, because now he's back at the house and he's going through these pictures of Coogie when Jerica comes home, and then, he was fighting back the tears, didn't want Jerica to see him crying. And then she begging him, like, don't do anything stupid. Don't be trying to revenge his death. I know that's what's on your mind. That's what you want to do. So he is just being pulled in all kind of directions. And then he like jumped up and ran in the bedroom. And you know how when you have your way with your mama and you go run in your room and just fall out on the bed and start boo-hoo crying, holding on to the pillow, crying into the pillow to muffle your sobs. So that's how Brandon was. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, I don't know if I can take this. Like the acting is so good, the writing is so good, and I just really hope that this show gets the numbers that it needs. But I don't know, with these shows, with these subscription channels, I don't think they really need the high ratings. If the show is good, they'll stick with it a little longer than a regular network would. So then we move over to Ronnie. So Ronnie and Tracy, they walking hand in hand. They all in love now that she know he like killed Coogie. And they walk up to this mural that they done put up of Jason. And so she shares how much, she misses Jason and wishes that he was still there. And I'm sorry, but I don't want a man that loved me so much that he would go out and take another child's life to avenge the death of our child, especially when you don't even know for a fact that that was the person that killed your child. And now two kids gone, two families suffering for no reason whatsoever. Ronnie and Tracy, they go back to her place and she lets him know that Jason's phone was missing, and that she was really hoping to be able to get the phone back, because at least then she would have whatever pictures were stored in the phone. And I just want to let my kids know right now that I delete everything off my phone. Like every day or two, everything is deleted. So if I die and my phone missing, don't worry about it, because ain't nothing on that phone that's gonna remind you of me. So, but I can understand how she feels that, you just want something to hold on to that memory. And then they was just in the middle of the conversation, and next thing I know, they was butt naked and screwing on the sofa. So, wait a minute. I had to back up, like, what did I miss? But Ronnie was in heaven because he loved him some Tracy. So the following morning, all is well in paradise, and Tracy is off to work, and she gives Ronnie instructions to go by the store and get some ribeyes and some wine for dinner. She's going to cook him a nice dinner. And I'm just thinking, what's wrong with this picture? Why is Tracy going to work, but Ronnie ain't going to work? Like, Ronnie ain't got no job. And then he also gets ridiculed throughout the show by his friends and family members for not having a job. So I think Ronnie's plight in life is he wants to do good, he wants to do the right thing, but the surroundings just ain't allowing him, and people just hard on him, making fun of him and everything. So it's making it hard for him to rise above the fray. So Ronnie goes by his grandmama's house, and we find out that Jada, who's Emmett's mom, she's actually the caregiver for the grandmother, and the grandmother is a hot mess. Like that woman was so funny. I hope they show her more, but she was cussing everybody out. She obviously got dementia or something, because she was accusing Jada of stealing her food, but then when Ronnie went and looked in the refrigerator, the food she said Jada stole was still there. So Jada said that the grandmama won't take her meds. She's verbally abusive, and she keeps accusing her of stealing. And she said if mama don't get her act together, she gonna call them people downtown and have the mama put into I guess like a nursing home or elderly care, assisted living facility. So she said she done the best she can, but Ronnie need to get his grandmama in order, because she ain't gonna be putting up with this mess for too much longer. So after Jada leave and Ronnie and the grandmama was talking, she said that Ronnie don't need to be taking Jada's side in the situation, because Jada strikes her as the type of woman that want a man with a job. Like, dang, grandmama. And she was like, and Ronnie hasn't had one in God knows how long. And so she needs him to stop talking about Jada and taking Jada's side, because he need to be on her side. Then the grandmama went on to talk about Tracy. Said that Tracy must have diamonds in her coochie, because every time she look up, Ronnie trying to get him a piece. Grandmama say she know hoes like Tracy, that she just using Ronnie for what she can get out of him. And so after she get through tearing him down, and Ronnie getting all sad and depressed, like, dang, can anybody uplift my spirits? Grandma say, I love you. Grandma loves you, baby. And then he was like, wait, what you just said? And she was like, I said Grandma loves you. Now get on out here and leave me alone. So Ronnie go on and he find his little two homeboys that be sitting out on that stoop all the time. And they trying to get him to fess up, to killing Coogie because they say the streets been talking and that they think that Ronnie need to come on and tell them what they need to know. But I'm sitting there thinking, Ronnie, you better not say nothing to them boys because Quentin and I already told the Cuban man that he need to find out what happened with one of them little boys that was killed. And so Ronnie, he won't give up the information, say he don't know what they talking about, but he need to get some cash because he got to get to the store to get them ribeye steaks and that wine for Tracy to cook dinner for him. So the guys, they keep clowning him about not having a job. They was like, well, you could go get a payday loan, but the key word is payday. You ain't got no jobs. You don't have no payday. And so they tell him that he should take the gun that he used to kill Coogie to some guy named Meldrick, because Meldrick would buy the gun, but of course, he looking at him crazy, because then if he say okay, then they know that he killed Coogie. So then we move over to the new, and then Ronnie does eventually go and sell the gun to the Meldrick guy. And it was so funny because when he got to the apartment, there was this white chick there. And she talking about, do you want to see my spiders? And then she bent up and took the coochie up to Ronnie. And Ronnie was like, oh my goodness, no, I don't want to see your spiders. So Meldrick told him that he would give him, he said, I'll give you, Ronnie wanted $300 for the gun, but Meldrick said he would give him $250. So then Ronnie said, okay. But then he only pulled that $200, and then he said, I know, forget about what I said, I'll give you, take the $200, and then you can go screw the crazy lady talking about the spiders, and that'll be the other $50. But Ronnie said, nah, I'll just take $200, and we'll call it a day. Then we have the New Edition crew, and that's Lil Kevin and what's the other two boys' name? It's so many characters on this show that I'm trying to remember everybody's name and I can't get up. And I thought I had wrote down what them little boys' names was because they had some Kevin, Papa, and I can't think of the other boy name. But anyway, they're in school, walking into school, and they get to talking about Coogie's murder, and then Lil Kevin admits to his friends that he witnessed the murder, so the killer is probably coming after him. And then we know that later on, Ronnie did come after him, but I think Ronnie just wanted to talk to him and tell him to keep his mouth shut. Then the little girl Andrea comes up and asks, what are they talking about? And Kevin has to choose between his friends and his love interest because they wanted him to go play basketball or something, but the little girl said, no, we got rehearsal, because remember she done gotten trapped up in the school musical. So he said, no, I got to go to rehearsal, guys. This is something I want to do. So why are these little boys, this is what I'm talking about with the overly sexualization of these kids, because they look like they in elementary school, but I'm going to give them junior high school, but they are definitely not in high school because they look like little kids. And so they calling the girls bitches and hoes and just talking about sex, having sex and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then the one named Papa, that's a little heavyset when he bumps into Maisha. And Maisha, she just bullying everybody. So he lets Kevin know that Maisha is Andrea's cousin. So they might have an issue and they got to be nice to her or that's going to mess up Kevin and Andrea's little situation. Then we move over to the homicide detectives, Cruz, which was the one that had arrested Coogie. And then this other guy the other one name was Wallace. So they're talking to their sergeant, who's a black lady. And they're talking about the murders of Jason and Coogie, and so she wants to try and connect the murders to drug activity, but Cruz says that, he isn't convinced that the kids were dealing drugs. So we learned that Jason was actually like an all-city, all-star high school basketball player, and then there's like some mystery surrounding Wallace and a stash house near where both of the boys were shot and killed, but then Cruz points out that neither of the boys was near the stash house. The stash house was like two blocks away from the murder scenes. And so After Wallace walks away, Cruz tries to get information about the stash house, but the sergeant tells him that, it's on a need-to-know basis, and right now he don't need to know anything about that stash house. And Cruz decides that he wants to question Wallace about the stash house, but he gets the same response from him. And Cruz is one of those police officers, who's empathetic to the plight of the people that they're policing. And he believes that every individual has their own story, and that they everybody shouldn't be seen as a criminal, the typical stereotype. And just because they are killed doesn't mean that they were involved in some kind of illegal activity. So when he made the comment about Jason and Coogie, so as he's talking to Wallace, Wallace getting all slick at the mouth, and then he made some little crude comment talking about Jason and Coogie were probably jacking each other off. And I'm just thinking, like, I know it's police officers that feel that way, and I guess we just have to accept it and deal with it. So after Cruz, him and the Wallace guy was talking, and the Wallace guy, I guess he's trying to pull Cruz into the fold, so he tell him that he has a softball team, and the third baseman is out, and he wants to know if Cruz would be interested in joining the team. And at first he was going to say no, but then he thought about it and said, yeah, he would go ahead and do it. So then Cruz goes to the scene where Coogie was shot, and he's looking at the police reports, and we see that Coogie was actually shot directly in the heart. And I was just like, now that was cold-hearted. I don't know what Ronnie had Tracy on the brain. That's what was wrong with him. And I guess he said he had to do the job, and he had to do the job right. So at the end of the show, Cruz encounters Ronnie, and Ronnie had then went to the store and got the groceries that he needed for Tracy to cook dinner. And so Cruz asked Ronnie, if he knows who killed Coogie and why Coogie was killed. And of course, Ronnie was like, I don't know nothing about it. But before walking off, Cruz tells Ronnie that Coogie did not kill Jason, and that he thought he needed to know that. And this shook Ronnie to his core, because after Cruz turned around, he dropped them groceries on the floor, on the ground, and kind of stumbled backwards and went in the opposite direction and walked all out into the street. I was like, Lord, I hope the man don't get hit by a car. And I'm just thinking, like, oh my God, now he has to have that burden on him that he killed an innocent child. Brandon did call Louise to tell Louise that he wanted the gun. So all I could do was pray to God that the gun that Louise gets for Brandon doesn't turn out to be the gun that Ronnie sold to Meldrick, which was the gun he used to kill Coogie with. And that all this crap comes back and ends up landing in Brandon's lap, and they try and say that Brandon killed Coogie because he was jealous. Or, it was just like so many different directions the show could go if that turns out being the scenario that takes place. So guys, that's it for me. Really love the show. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. And if I left anything out of the recap or anything you want to add to the conversation, leave it in the comments. Please rate the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, blessed weekend. And I shall talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.